Zac Jackson is here in studio. Zac, how you doing?
Matt Stafford coming to Cleveland. Okay.
Percentage chance there, Zac.
Very, very close to zero.
I mean,
Can you imagine if, who's the GM? Les Snead, is that their GM?
Yeah.
If he goes, Matt, we got an idea. I know you're 38, 39, whatever the hell you. How about we send you to Cleveland for your final
well, he did a decade in Detroit and didn't win.
Yeah.
But he went to L.A., won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think L.A.'s close, right? They played Philly the best.
Yeah, they did. You're right.
I mean, Cooper Kupp is just washed. He's just over 30.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of money, so they're going to move on. They're not even going to be able to trade him. They're going to have to cut him. So I don't think those two things are necessarily tied together.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at Stafford, he's at the end of his career. He's probably not one of the elite guys, right?
Yeah.
But he throws it great. He has the pedigree, his championship pedigree, number one pick. You know, a lot of teams would love to have Matt Stafford. Do I see him landing with the Browns? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think if they did want to trade him and he did want to move, they would probably find a better spot. And I think, like as you mentioned.
But it has nothing to do with the city of Cleveland.
No, not to me.
See?
Okay. Well, we were more talking about the team than the city anyway.
Yeah, like.
No, y'all wasn't.
Yeah.
The city was part of it. It was more about the team.
It was like, hey, his wife don't want to move to
Well,
Cleveland.
that was- yeah,
that's
that-
the whole
yeah.
point.
That's fact. No wife wants to move here.
But that's because she's hoity-toity, even though I don't know that that's
I
actually
don't
true.
think wives. Like, you think Patrick Mahomes' wife want to come to Cleveland?
Well, she's kind of trashy, so maybe. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
See, Zach, this is why we can't get on regular TV.
That's right. That's what happens.
Understandable.
Yeah. Zach, do you
Oh, my goodness.
if they, to me, like, it doesn't matter who the bridge quarterback is to me, because they have no chance of winning the Super Bowl next year, right? Whether it's Kirk Cousins or Andy Dalton or just none of those guys are going to make them winners. So if you're going to draft a young quarterback, I don't know that they will, but they probably will at some point. If it's an early draft, like first or second round, they draft a quarterback. I'd rather bring in a veteran like Andy Dalton, who I know is going to be a good mentor for that young guy, rather than, well, maybe Kirk Cousins is the best of the bunch, even though he might not be as good a mentor, but we could win more with him. What's more important to you in terms of whoever they bring in as a veteran?
Well, I know what you're saying, but this is where this team's at a weird crossroads because the guys in charge are trying to keep their jobs.
That's right.
So they want
tough.
a bridge quarterback who's going to give them a chance to win X number of games. You know, I think you easily make the case, right, that the way you feel better about the Browns a year from now is that the rookie quarterback looks like he's a keeper.
That's
Whether
right.
it's first round, third round.
Right.
And that's way if they will only win 4 or 5 games, you're like the Patriots. You're like, all right, they got the guy.
Right.
Now we build around him. They're going to move past a lot of this dead money and, and start to move on to the next chapter. So, yeah, it does matter who the bridge quarterback is because these guys are trying to keep their jobs. And you don't want to only win 3 games.
Right.
But I agree. Like, just big picture sense before you dive into anything else. How next February when we're having this discussion, how are you saying, hey, the Browns are a playoff team? It's the rookie quarterback going into his second year. And
That's
what
it.
You're
You're right. You brought up the team. Like, the Patriots' record, if you just look at their record, they were terrible. But if you're a Patriots fan right now, you have this optimism because you know that Drake May had zero talent around him, and yet you saw signs that this guy might be how good, we don't know yet, but that he has the ability to be a good quarterback.
I mean, you got to have your guy, right?
Yeah.
You're chasing these guys.
Yes.
And Lamar and Josh can't get there, but they're not going anywhere. Right. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs, but they could win the Super Bowl every year.
That's right.
They have Joe Burrow.
That's right.
Right. So you got to have that guy. You need to have a good defense. You need to have things go your way a lot, but you need to have that guy to realistically be a Super Bowl
So
team.
at number 2, what is your thoughts? Where are you at? The Browns should take Shedeur? Are you Abdul Carter? Did the quarterback Jackson Dart maybe second round? Where are you at?
So big picture, Tyvis, I think you need to take the quarterback because I just think you have to have it. However, people that I talk to that try to make me sound smart, as hard as that is, they say that there's no guy here.
That's what they keep
That's just what
saying.
they say.
Everybody
And I think when you look at it, taking me, you, whoever out of it, I think there's 3 paths. I think it's take Abdul Carter, Miles or no Miles. I think it's trade down and kind of embrace the rebuild, but it's probably no Miles. And then it's take the quarterback. I don't think they're taking Travis Hunter. I just don't. I think he's a wide receiver right now, and they have other needs, right? So I think it's take Abdul Carter, take the quarterback, or trade down and try to stack picks and embrace that this team is 2 drafts away.
Yes.
Miles or no Miles, great quarterback, mid quarterback,
Yeah.
whatever. This team is 2 good drafts away, and they need to replenish. So I can make a case there for any of those, but I think it's pretty clear. Like, and really, when you have the 2 pick, you shouldn't have 8 options. You should have a few.
Yeah.
So I think most likely is take Abdul Carter or trade down and then see
Yeah.
who you're getting at 6, at 8, at 10, wherever it is that you trade down to.
There's a thought process.
I'm on
and
that
premise.
Abdul Carter thing too.
The premise for me that I can't understand is people will say, okay, there's no one in this draft, right? There's no one. There's nobody in this draft. But their
No
name,
quarterback is
but
what they
no
said.
quarter. But their names in next year's draft. And I'm like, oh, well, give me a name. Well, I don't know yet. Well, hold
You
on.
talking about the quarterback?
Yeah, they're like,
Arch Manning, Gus Nutmeyer, Drew Aller.
Nussmeier's the one for me.
You
Kevin
like him for-
Stefanski's
The
dream
BY
quarterback.
Jew, the BY Jew,
BY
gotta have him in
Jew
the mix.
coming out. The guy that went to Miami.
Arch Manning. I've seen him play like twice. Like
That's fine.
Well, nobody's seen him play more than twice. Yeah.
So my thing is, even if you get this draft capital, you have it, you can move around the board with it. If either one of these guys are top bona fide picks, no one's trading with you.
That's true.
That's a fact.
No one's gonna
Yeah.
trade.
Depending on who it is.
Like no,
It would have to be
when Andrew Luck came out. No, you couldn't.
No.
trade.
It would. I'm saying if the number one team was I don't know. Let's say it was the Eagles. Let's just say Jalen Hurts got hurt all last season, and that's why they.
Yeah,
win.
but what are the odds of
They're
that?
not.
I
I'm
mean-
just saying it's possible,
yeah.
but I'm just saying that would be the
But wait,
reason.
I want to get back to Zach said something there. Who did you say your guy was for next year?
Nussmeier, the kid from LSU.
Okay.
That is a Kevin Stefanski quarterback.
Yeah.
His dad has been in coaching. That's the offense that he runs. That's how he's built.
Right,
That's
right.
That's the guy that I like. And he absolutely made the right move going back to school. But I mean,
Yeah.
he is going to be a guy that's going to be Heisman favorite, top 5 discussion. all of that.
If the second part of the question is like you said, they're trying to keep their jobs. If you draft Abdul Carter and you draft a couple other positions, a left tackle, and go and you win 3 games, you won't even be there to take Nussmeier.
That's
So like what like
situation,
it's what do you like the only way in my opinion that they can truly save their jobs is if they get like a bridge quarterback that gets 8 or 9 wins and wasn't supposed to win. Or you get, like you said, the quarterback that is you got him, you play a couple games solid here or there, they win 3, 4, 5 games, you get some excitement, and you say, that guy is our guy. And then you get to keep your jobs and coach the guy.
Well, that's what it comes down to, Garrett. We could talk about it for 5 minutes or 5 hours. Deshaun Watson sunk this team and is going to get everybody fired. So the guys in charge can't operate that way, but we're all on the outside knowing the truth.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they are.
Yeah.
You know, they still, after this year, owe him $130 million, right? They don't have an answer to plug in, and that's what you have to hope.
Right.
So you have to nail 2 drafts. You have to nail the quarterback. You have to get lucky with some, which you can. And like previous Browns teams that won 3 games and were awful did not have Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. I get it.
Right,
You know, but like that's where this team is. Like they were all in on Watson, all these contracts, these older players. Many of this team's best players were still acquired by the previous regimes, and these guys have been here 6 years.
Yeah.
And so you go belly up, adjusting contracts and banking on Watson. You can't even, not even ever going to play another snap for you, right? And so yeah, it has to be about the future.
Do you think that Jimmy did the right thing keeping both Berry and Stefanski?
I don't know that. Probably not.
Yeah.
But I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is being burdened by the past and not trusting himself.
Right. Yeah.
If they think they're the right guys and they can get him out of it, sure. But if I'm Andrew Berry right now, the only way I can save my job is to trade Myles Garrett and maximize those picks. Because I think Garrett said it. Sure, we do this, we do that. We still win 3 games, still win 4 games.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter looks like a hit 3 years from now. Well, that's not keeping anybody's job next January.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You know, speaking of trading Myles Garrett, obviously there are some complications from a contract standpoint, and because of the Watson disaster, even though Jimmy's willing to spend more than most owners, it's still a bad cap situation if they trade Myles Garrett. But ultimately, you think with him obviously holding their feet to the fire, they will eventually trade him?
I think they will.
Okay.
I'm not saying with certainty.
Okay.
But they already have $40 million in dead money, right? That's before you count Jed Wills, and that's before you count Watson, which is completely dead money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're at 80-some million in dead money public school math before you get to anything else,
Yeah.
right? And like the way they've rolled it over and the way the cap keeps rising, like teams use dead money, you push money forward, but you got to have the guys to show for it. The Eagles
Right.
do it as much as anyone, but the Eagles' down year was last year, 10 wins and a first round
That's right.
exit.
Yeah.
The Browns are in a bad way. And Batonio's up after this year, and Teller's up after this year, and Njoku's up after this, and all those guys have dead money after that.
Right. Which is, yeah.
like I said, a year ago, the Broncos cut Russell Wilson with a record 85 dead money.
Yeah.
The Browns owe Deshaun Watson twice that. Now, you can spread it over 6 years, but you're not getting rid of it. $170 million on the Browns cap in somewhere between the next 2 and 5 years is going to Deshaun Watson, who will never play a snap and sunk this iteration by not being able to complete a 5-yard pass.
Yeah.
It almost seems as if the only Hail Mary, like even if you trade Myles Garrett, seems like the only Hail Mary is if you get lucky on a quarterback, and it distracts us from the fact that you can't.
But it might take 2 years to get there.
Can you put a roster out if you? I heard
you can, but it's going to be a young one. But that's if you hit, and that's where you could start to build out, Garrett. Okay, like is Jalen Milroe, is Will Howard in the third round, this Tyler Shuck from you could start to build out there, and then if it comes into play, if the ifs go your way, and along the way, Abdul Carter is great, or the left tackle is great, or trading down in Mason Graham, and then in a future first rounder is great.
Don't say that to him.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't.
Like here's a really realistic scenario: the Browns trade down to 6.
He gonna be an all-pro just to let
Get
you
a
know.
really good lineman at 6. Get a really good lineman at 33. Have 2 first-rounders for next year. Have that quarterback, whomever it is, from that group, or even the bridge quarterback.
Garrett Nussmeier. Let's
Right.
just go with that.
Now you go into next year with looking functional with 2 first-rounders.
Right.
And you try to get as much dead money off the books.
I think, to me, especially when it comes to Stefanski, I almost feel like we're talking about, if they have a big terrible season, they're going to get fired. But that's really the worst case scenario. It's like, to me, if you're Jimmy, you either should have fired them now or you have to give them 2 more years. If it's true, what everybody seems to say in the know, that none of these guys are short things at quarterback and that the short things are coming next year, then you really, if you've stuck with them, I feel like you have to give them 2 years, but I don't know that that's the case.
Right. It's just the reality of the situation. Like,
Yeah.
they can't win 3 games again, right?
Right.
And
No,
the only way
Yeah.
is if they win 2 of those 3 at the end with some rookie QB who they
Yeah.
got for nothing, for
Right.
pick 67 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they look like that they've changed the trajectory here.
Yeah.
They have spent so much in free agency, which was part of their plan. We're going to outspend. We're
Yeah.
going to do this. And it just doesn't work historically. But teams that make it work, that guy plays for a year, plays for half a year, and then gets passed by a rookie draft pick. And keep
Right.
That's what the Browns haven't had. They haven't
No,
had that
they
guy.
have no good young players, or almost none.
There's a chance that no player from last year's team ever becomes a last year's draft class
Right.
ever becomes a significant contributor to that team. And you can't overcome that when you have cap problems.
No.
You know?
Let me ask you, where were you when they acquired Deshaun? Where were you at?
I was at Chick-fil-A in Canton, Ohio. It's funny you asked, Tyvus. It was the end of free
Shout out
agency
to
week.
Chick-fil-A.
It was the end of free agency week. It was the start of the NCAA tournament. Ohio State played the noon game.
Go Bucks.
I went to my friend's house. We watched the game, and I was picking up dinner for the kids. On my way home, I was going to a birthday party that night, and I'm standing in Chick-fil-A waiting for my online order, and I get the text.
And how did you feel?
I knew that it was over for me. The life had just changed.
Oh, I see.
Right?
I see. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
not just that weekend, but
right,
like
right,
the
yeah.
life had changed, right? So now, like, I didn't know that he was going to be that bad, and I understood.
So you was with the trade. You was like, oh, that's a great move.
As soon as I saw 3 first-rounders, I don't know. But I knew they were moving on from Baker Mayfield. I knew that game in Pittsburgh and the day after was the last time that Baker Mayfield was ever going to set foot in that facility, at least until he's on TV in 10 years, right? Yeah. But
Zach, real quick,
they tried
what
that
made
at
you
a
think
time
that,
that there
Zach?
just weren't many options.
What made you think, and what made you know that that was the end of the Baker tenure?
Baker and Stefanski were done. They could not coexist. It was time to pay him, and they had made the organizational decision. Barry, Stefanski, everybody, they didn't want to pay him, and they just knew that it was time to move on. And so Baker wanted paid. Obviously, they hadn't done that, and it wasn't working internally for many reasons.
Right.
And that part was right. Baker was never going to win them the Super Bowl. They were ready to go for it. They thought they were good enough. That showed in all their actions. They just made the wrong decision on the back end.
Baker was gone either way. They were going to get another quarterback.
They were yes, if there was any available. And then they got to the point there was none available. And Deshaun Watson told them no on Thursday.
Yeah.
And on Friday, when I was trying to get my chicken nuggets, they guaranteed that contract. And Deshaun said, you know what? Yes, I should have never told you no.
are they?
But wait, before we
Yeah.
move off of this, wait a minute. So after they did that, do you think the biggest mistake made was not trading? I know everybody says trade for him was the biggest mistake. But do you think the biggest mistake was last year how they handled the play calling situation? Like, because they went out and got Ken Dorsey to help with the shotgun, but yet Kevin still called the plays. It wasn't until Deshaun got hurt that Ken became the play caller. Do you think that Ken should have been the play caller?
No, that doesn't make like the top 5 for me.
Okay.
They fully guaranteed the contract, and it was very clear it went from awkward to stuck. And then it just kept getting more stuck because he wasn't the guy. The team was built around him. Like, wasn't a fit with the coach. Like, all of these things
That's
they
the part
kept doing.
I just don't understand. Like, they said they sat down and watched tape. Like, you watch him, how he played, and you seen your system. How do you not know that y'all aren't the same? Y'all don't go together.
Well, I mean, they thought that it would work.
Oh, my
goodness.
goodness.
They reinvested in Njoku. They got Amari Cooper. The Cooper trade was made the week before the Deshaun trade was made. They thought all of these things were going to just click. And then they were willing to wipe away the first year and say, you know what, he had the suspension. He was the first game, he had never been in the huddle with those guys until like 3 days before. Yeah. Like, of course it didn't look great. But to me, it was the Philly joint practices the summer of 23 when I was like, he's just not, this is broken. Like, he's not good. They don't know how to adjust, and like, they have a good team, but it's just not clicking here. And he played like some good games, some good quarters, but it never went. And then last year, the summer was even worse, and the whole thing, the fit, it was just so bad.
You was the first person that came in here after
That's
training
true. Zach
camp,
was saying
and he said Tyvus.
it was bad when everybody else was saying it was looking better.
They
I don't know
cannot
what they were
complete a
talking
pass. The quick game looks terrible. I was like, that's when I was like, if he's saying that, oh, it's terrible, and that's exactly what
I've
we.
never seen a guy hold the ball in 7-on-7.
Oh, you didn't, man. Listen,
No, I've never seen. He's the only one I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say, listen, we did joint practices with Houston in 2018, we did joint practice, 49ers. And we sat there and watched the 7-on-7 tape, and this man literally just stood there. You know, usually you got like a bounce. No, he stood still just like this for like 10 seconds, then threw it. And we just start laughing like,
How is he so good in Houston?
Why is they letting this go on?
Well, I think that his mind and life were in a different place.
That's true.
And I think he just played. And he's super talented. Browns should have drafted him the first time.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
They traded the pick that the Texans made. You know, and then they end up taking Peppers 13 picks later.
So I know McNuggets wants to get in here. So as we listen to this saga, you say he had a problem with Baker. Looks like he had some miscommunication stuff with Deshaun. Even at the end, even with Jameis Winston, Jameis is like, "Well, I thought you was calling plays. I came here for that reason." Is this a pattern with Stefanski? Or is this just he just had bad luck? Because if I'm looking at it, that's like 2 strikes. Like he has to get the quarterback right, or is this whole thing washed or done?
I think you can fairly say it's a pattern. I think you can fairly say for all his strengths and the way you like him and the way they think that he runs the team and manages represents the organization, he has to get the quarterback right or he's not going to be employed. Like he has to. And so whether that has to be him driving every decision and saying my opinion counts the most, or I need a specific kind of guy to do this, you know, and that's the thing. They're trying to win to save their jobs, but when do you put the rookie in?
Yeah.
You know, how ready are these rookies? I think when you look at Shedeur in camp and they look at all the football they've played and how they've come up, like they should be ready right away. But like if you don't grade them as ready to actually take you, then I understand you wait and go get someone else. Like what's different about this quarterback class is almost all of these guys are crazy experienced and older. That was Bill Parcells' thing. And a lot of times you're drafting guys that just haven't played, right? They did 2 years, a season and a half as a starter. They're 21. All of these guys are 22, 23, 4+ college seasons. So you are getting that. But if you just grade that they're not any good, you know, Kenny Pickett was 24.
Right, he stinks.
He's a
Go
Super
ahead,
Bowl
Mike.
champion.
He is. He threw 1 pass in the game. Go ahead, Mike.
Along those lines, Zach, I hear all the thinking out there that says if you don't like a quarterback, don't force it. I totally understand that. I also understand that when you have the number 2 pick and don't have to give up assets to potentially draft a quarterback that high, most teams take advantage of that. Zach, if you were in Andrew Berry's shoes, and I know we're still over 2 months away from the draft. So your opinion can change. But as of February 11th at 12:17, who would you take at number 2 if you had to pick a quarterback?
I'll tell you this, that it's a completely different answer than I would have given you 3 weeks ago, but it's Abdul Carter. That's who I would take.
Okay, but if you had to take a quarterback.
I'd take a
Oh,
quarterback.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who would you? I thought you said who.
Yeah. Let's say they were all available, and you had
Abdul
to take.
Carter
I'm probably
goes number
taking
1.
Cam Ward.
You would have taken. Okay.
If they're all available, but
Yeah.
I've kind of shifted my thinking into find one in that second tier that you love.
Gotcha.
And
you think Abdul Carter's the no-brainer pick, though, too?
I wouldn't say no-brainer, but I think in this situation, if you can't trade out, I think that's who I'd be taking.
And if you're the Browns, when it comes to go back to trading Myles Garrett, because I've heard some fans, well, they should trade him to a terrible team. Well, what terrible team is going to trade for Myles Garrett? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, to me, the perfect scenario is a mid-tier team that he could buy Myles Garrett, that they could be a contender, and they think they're a contender, but they're really not. Or maybe they turn out not to be, like Arizona or Dallas, preferably in the NFC. Would you be like? Is any team on the table? Would they trade him to the Bills or like?
I would throw all of that out the window about
All of it.
where he goes, because if they get a real offer that they like, the first
Yeah.
thing they have to do is go to 3 other teams and up it. Like,
Right,
they
right.
have to maximize this, but
Yes.
that's their one chance. And the division teams, they don't have the money to trade for him, or they
Right,
don't,
right, yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't care if it was Buffalo, if it was
Okay.
Detroit, if it was wherever.
And
Might
what-
see him on your schedule next year, big deal, right?
Right.
Like, I think this is Andrew Berry's way to save his job, is to get this load of picks and hit them. And because right now, no one here believes that the Browns are going to win more than 7 games next year.
No.
And you might not think they're going to win more than 5.
Fair.
Right?
Fair. Yeah, 100%.
So show me a plan that changes
That's right.
that.
And do you think what's the bottom? Like, are they at least getting 2 first round? I know they're not getting 3 first rounds, but are they at least getting 2 and
That's
then maybe
like
something
where
else?
you're starting. Like give me 2. So if it ends up a 1 or 2 a player and 4 swaps, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's where you're starting that discussion.
Let me ask you, because Jason was on and he was talking about, getting the picks. Because I'm with you. I probably would trade Myles too. I would love for him and Abdul Carter to be together, but I think you're going to have to trade him at some point. Would you take those picks for the future, or would you take them for this upcoming
If
draft?
I was the owners of the team, I would want them for beyond, because I might need those premium picks to recruit my next guys. And again, that goes back to the whole rub of the whole deal.
Man,
I want to say one thing, Tyvis. This is just my opinion, but you brought up Jackson Dart. Okay, this is just my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think he's any good, and here's why.
Oh,
Right? Big time recruit, USC, Ole Miss, 3-year starter, crazy numbers, 9 to 11 wins. Right? Looks the part, has all the tools. If he was good, like, somebody be telling you he's good.
I mean, they gave him a first round pick.
I
think he's one of those.
That's just how I read it from 20 years of doing this.
Makes sense.
My only thing about him, my flaw with him is his numbers is fine. But when this season, when they had to play some good competition, his numbers was never that good.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. So I'm like, okay, so you're gonna have these great numbers against all these other teams. In the NFL, every team is good. So I need you to play well at every game. And if you go back and you look at the 3 losses, the overtime to LSU, I can't
Florida
remember.
beat 'em.
Florida beat up, which is
I know about it.
Florida, and then I can't remember who the last one was, but like it was just his game was just okay. But apparently he did well at the Senior Bowl. That's the thing.
Tyler Shuck was the best thrower at the Senior Bowl.
Well, then
He'll be 26 in September. No, if you think,
26?
yeah.
Well, Brandon Weed.
He was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon. He's still in college.
Come on, man. Come on, man. We can't do that.
He was the best. I'm an amateur.
Did you go to the Senior Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, I have PhD in bad quarterbacks more than good, obviously.
How was Jalen Milroe?
But that's not his environment.
They said his stuff went down.
That's not his environment.
What you mean?
You know, that's not his environment.
Right.
If they came up to the podium, that's wild. If they came to the podium and handed the pick in and they said the Browns took Shedeur Sanders, how do you think the fan base reacts and the media reacts? Is it a 50-50 split again?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Is it as divisive as the Bakers and the Deshaun
And John Manziel.
and the Johnnies and the
People weren't really divided on John. I mean, the smart people were.
Hey, I was a Manziel. I like, and then I'm like, man, he don't do nothing. he can't read defenses at all. He don't even hang out. Like,
I mean, that's the sick part about this quarterback thing. Like, if they did take a quarterback, the one thing that I ask is please let them know how to at least read a defense. I feel like you can fix everything else. The fact that people can't read a simple defense.
I feel like Shedeur can do that.
Hey, all right. Well, thank you. That's a starter. Like, put him on put the tape on, put him on the board, and say, within 2 seconds, give me what coverage this is. If you can't answer that question, I don't want you. I'm
Pat
sick.
Shermer's a joke here, but I mean that was Shedeur's play caller.
Right.
Like
It's ridiculous.
He's ready for the NFL. Now, teams just don't think that he's great. That's just what I've gathered, right? But he's ready for the NFL. You know,
Like he'll like is the thought that maybe he'll be a starter in the league, but he's going to be a lower tier starter.
yes,
right?
yes. That's just what I've gathered.
Yeah.
Yes, and the same with Cam Ward. People are like, he's really good, but like I wouldn't want to take him in the top 5.
So it's not an Anthony Richardson situation where the guy's going to
No, that's what I mean. All
Right,
of these guys are older and have played.
Yeah.
You know, Quinn Ewers is one of the few that really has not played all of that much.
Right.
You know, the rest of them are like multi-year starters. Most multi-programs, everybody transfers now.
Yeah.
They're all 22 to 24. Shook's going to be 26. That's different than Anthony Richardson.
Last thing, Zach, running back in this draft. Like it's a position they need to address. Obviously, you're not going to address it in the first round.
tons of them.
Is there a guy you've got your eye on somewhere here? Like, because we see all the time. Look at the Bengals, Chase Brown. I don't remember what round they took him.
Fifth. Yeah.
Like, and he's a dynamic back. Like, you can find guys like that.
It seems
Is there
like
a
it's
guy?
that kind of year.
Yeah.
Travion Henderson, 3rd round sprint to pick up.
third round, he might be the second
He
back off the
probably
board.
he
What
might
do you
he
mean?
right. You know what?
After the Michigan game, he would have got Henderson in the 3rd or 4th round, but not after the playoffs.
I know.
Yeah.
Is there a guy?
That's a good. I like the kid from Kansas. I thought he was the best one at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
But this top group, the Iowa kid, who's really good.
Right,
Obviously, the Boise kid's going to
Yeah.
go high. Like they're going to go before the Browns are in the running back business.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it does seem like there's a lot of them. And are the Browns taking the starter for the future, or are they taking a compliment? I mean, we don't know if Nick Chubb's coming back. Jerome Ford's only under contract for this year. The other guys, they're not NFL running backs.
Before we let you go, are you aware of the fact? I don't know if we have the picture to put up. No. Of how bizarre Jason Lloyd looks in a hat. Are you aware of this?
Oh, my goodness.
Have I ever seen Jason
Notice
Lloyd in
that
a
next
hat?
time. Every time he wears, I don't know, it does something like his face looks bizarre with a hat. I don't know what it is.
He's the greatest bar back of all time. He's like,
All right. Well, we may need a story on that.
He asks the undercover girls all the time, "Hey, I need your ID."
Zach, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Great insight from Zach, and